Why does sitting in the unknown feel so unbearable? Why does sitting in a period where we have no clue what's coming, where we're anticipating so many things, but we actually don't know what's going to happen? It feels miserable. It feels confusing. It feels conflicting. And we hate it. Humans hate it. We think clarity is the goal. But oddly enough, when growth happens, it almost always happens when you're sitting in the in between, when you are sitting in the gray spaces of life, the messy middle where none of it makes sense. You have zero clarity about what you're supposed to do. You are fumbling around, just trying to find your way. That is when we experience the most growth. And funny enough, even though it's one of those things that creates the most beautiful growth and change and improvement in our lives, it's the thing we resist the absolute most. I mean, if you think about everyday situations, maybe you have a cancer scare, maybe you had a biopsy taken and you're waiting weeks to get the results back or some blood work back. And that sitting in the unknown just feels unbearable. Maybe you are considering moving jobs. You've been at a job for a long time. You're really nervous to leave, but you also know it's probably time. And yet you question every time you take a new interview. Every time somebody offers you maybe another job opportunity, you turn it down because you're scared. Or not even that you're scared, but that you want to avoid being in the unknown for so long. Why? Because being in what's known is comfortable. We can prepare. We can set our bodies in a state of, quote, control, or what we think is control, to bring some calm and relief and release and calm those fears and those anxieties inside of us. And especially if you've been through trauma, which I myself have, I notice that when I'm in those spaces where I'm opening myself up to opportunity, I'm opening myself up to other options that's unknown, it's terrifying because everything I want to do coming out of much trauma that I've been through in my life is to say, no, 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 I can control it. I can plan. I can do this, this, and this will be the outcome. We want it to be as simple as studying for a test and then taking a test. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's say you're taking a history test. You don't have to know a lot of history to be able to study and take the test. Let's take the Civil War in America. If you knew that was what the test was on, you could go out and you could study and you could pass the test. There's a known, but you know what you need to do to find the known, to learn the known. And then you know what you need to do to pass the thing, and you do have control over that. It is simple. That is a black and white. But most things in life do not operate that way. I think about relationships, right? Let's say you've been in a relationship with someone for a long time and they've proposed to you, you've said yes, you're in the midst of wedding planning, and as you move forward, the wedding is getting closer and you start to question, you start to freak out a little bit, you start to get nervous because everything in your life is about to shift. Everything that you know about your day in and day out is going to change. It is no longer just about you. It is now becoming about you and your soon to be partner spouse. And how many of us you hear about cold feet all of the time? And I think it's funny because when we think about the unknown of a relationship, this is probably the best example I can think of, because no one can ever tell you if that relationship is right. Your partner can't tell you, your friend can't tell you, parent can't tell you. Nobody can tell you if that relationship is meant to be. There is no real official way of knowing. And yet, even when you are with someone that you are meant to be with, you have uncertainties, you have questions, you have doubts, you have things that make you question if this is right. Does that make it wrong? If we have uncertainty about something, if we have questions about something, does that mean we shouldn't do the thing? And I think most of us tend to lean towards saying yes. If we have a question, if we have an uncertainty, if we have a doubt, then it's the wrong thing. And I did think that for a long time. But what I'm starting to understand in my life is that that's not how the world works. And in fact, that's kind of an emotionally dangerous way to live. Physically, it probably keeps you safe. There's unknown, there's uncertainty. You hunker down, you stay where you're at, you stay with what you know. You control your circumstances. But I think when I'm learning about this idea of tension, of bothness, of duality, of paradox, whatever word you want to put in there, is that you can feel two conflicting things at once. You can believe two conflicting things at once. That doesn't mean that you're crazy. That doesn't mean it's wrong. And that doesn't mean that if you feel conflicting things about something, that that's not the answer. I think what we want is certainty. We want to feel happiness and joy and peace. And if a situation in our life offers more than that, we often want to run. We often spiral and go, well, that's not the right decision. Oh my gosh, I'm having questions about my partner. Maybe I shouldn't marry them. And I don't think that that's true. Now, please hear me. Trust your gut. If you think something is not right for you, don't do it. But trusting your gut is not the same as having thoughts or feelings around questioning or uncertainty. There's very few times in our life where we can have complete certainty about something. And so I think the more that we can understand that you can feel and think and believe multiple things at once. And I'll keep with this analogy of a partner, right? I've been married twice. The first time I was married at 18. I turned 18 and married somebody 6 years older than me. We had started dating when I was 14 and he was 20. It's a whole story. If you want to hear more about my story, I'll put a link to my podcast here and you can learn a little bit more about that. But I was in a very unhealthy and toxic relationship with a man that was much older than me. We should never have been together. And I remember in the pit of my stomach, the entire time I was with him, something was not right. I questioned it, but it really was beyond questioning. And I actually hesitate to say I questioned it. I thought about it a lot. And it was almost like the sick feeling in my stomach was so overwhelming that I avoided questioning it. I avoided digging into that more. I avoided letting myself trust myself and my gut. And so what did I do? I kind of flipped from uncertainty to this is certain. I will be with this person. I am choosing it. And everybody that tells me no, I'm going to say no to them because they don't know. I know. And it was almost like this complete turnaround of a reaction from knowing there's uncertainty in my gut and in my body to saying, no, I'm going to do this thing. Because I was so terrified of the uncertainty. I was so terrified of the thing within myself that was telling me, this is not right. You have to stop. I remember even as we fast forward to when we were getting married and planning the wedding, the amount of times I thought about calling the wedding off. And instead of letting myself play that through and sit with it and really process it and think about it, it kept coming up like a little gnawing dog at my foot. It just kind of kept coming and gnawing and gnawing and gnawing. And I just pushed it away and pushed it away and pushed it away and doubled down on the certainty of what I needed to do. Now, obviously, that relationship did not work. It was very, again, toxic, unsustainable, unhealthy, emotionally, mentally, psychologically abusive, and it grew into becoming physical and other forms of abuse that took hold, but it didn't work. And I remember when I was questioning completely if I should be with him after I had been with him for years. We had been married for 5 years, maybe less at that point. I don't know. And I remember the uncertainty that I allowed to come through at that time. I allowed everything that was inside of me to come up, and I kid you not, it took me about 2 years. It took me about 2 years of processing everything that I had shoved down into my soul, into my body, the questions, the concerns, the uncertainty. I let it up. Now, not necessarily directly with him. I did it all on my own because I was terrified of the reaction that he would have if I dared to share those things with him. And I started sharing it with a therapist, and I processed it in therapy, and I made him go to therapy with me. Didn't work. And it's funny because it took me years to go, okay, I think I know what I need to do. And did I still question it? Of course. Every time I moved closer and closer to separating with him, and every time I set up a boundary, I questioned it. He pushed the boundary, of course. He pushed me to thinking that I was wrong. Now, did my questioning it, my uncertainty about leaving him, did that mean it was the wrong choice? Absolutely not. And in fact, I'm so glad that I allowed myself the time to question it and to be uncertain, because that's what brought me to the internal peace of going, just because I'm feeling uncertain and questioning doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't, because there is a part of me that doesn't want to do it. There is a small part of me that feels guilty, whether I should or not. That's just the reality. And when I allowed myself to sit in that certainty, I came to a place after 2 years of going, this is what I need to do. And if XYZ happens, here are my boundaries. And if XYZ happens, I am divorcing him. Full stop. No going back. I questioned it every second and I still did it. And in the moment where I did it, I told him I was leaving him. He crossed a boundary that I had set. I told him I was leaving him, and it escalated to something physical. And I can't tell you how in that moment I immediately went, oh my God, that was right. I just knew everything in my body released and went, that was it. It's such a bad comparison. Maybe not bad, but it is gross. Think about when you're sick. Think about when you have a stomach bug. Think about when you have food poisoning. This is my visual of uncertainty in our lives. You have something in the pit of your stomach. You're questioning it. Your stomach is a little uneasy. You have a question. You have an uncertainty in your life. It's that similar feeling to the beginning of food poison, the beginning of a stomach bug. Stomach gets a little queasy. It gets a little uneasy. Two options, right? You have a stomach bug, you have food poisoning. What can you do? You can go prepare and just go, I might be getting really sick. I'm going to just sit with myself. I'm going to let myself feel it and ride this out. Or you can go, oh God, no. I will not be getting sick. I'm taking all the medicine. I refuse. I'm not going to be sick. And then it grows and it grows and it grows. And you're sitting in the bathroom fighting the urge to throw up. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, I hate throwing up. Everything in me, when I feel it in my stomach, I'm like, no, I will not throw up. I hate it. I just hate it. And yet, when we allow ourselves to throw up when we're that sick, yeah, it's rough, but how much relief do you feel as soon as you let it get out of you? As soon as you let the experience happen, you get it out and you feel relief and you can start the process of healing. I'm not saying as soon as you do it, you feel like yourself again. Absolutely not. There's time, there's healing, there's repair, there's all these things that need to happen. And very similarly, I think about that with this idea of questioning and uncertainty, right? The more you avoid it and you shove it down and you shove it down, the longer it drags out this experience of feeling sick, of feeling off, of feeling wrong. So what is the solution? How do we sit with uncertainty without falling apart? And I think the solution is you jump in. Everything you are questioning, everything you are fearing, everything you are wondering about, everything you are uncertain about, let it in. Let it in fully and give it its time to process. Give it its time to show you what it's trying to show you. Because our bodies, our souls, our minds, they are trying to tell us something. It does not mean if you feel that thing is wrong, that thing is not the answer. It just means there's something that's trying to be communicated within that you need to look at. So face the uncertainty, give it time, open up the door for it to come in and for you to process. Because we think of sitting in uncertainty as being weakness. We think of it as being naive. We think of it as not being mature or wise. And I think it's actually the opposite. It's not failure, it's strength. And the more we can build our capacity and our resiliency to sit in the unstable situations, to stand when our life is feeling like this, when we're feeling questions, when we're feeling uncertainty mixed in with joy, mixed in with happiness, mixed in with grief, mixed in with anxiety, mixed in with fear, all these things that are constantly happening within us, whether they're happening at the same time or whether they ebb and flow. We have seasons, and the more we can acknowledge that and accept that, the more we build our capacity to find strength and to find stability amongst all of that. And how do you find stability amongst it? In order to stand on it, you have to acknowledge what is. If you don't acknowledge your world is like this, how can you stabilize it? You can't. How can you feel at peace even with this? You can't. You have to acknowledge that this is happening. So I would ask you to give yourself the chance to allow the uncertainty to come in, to feel it, and to process it. Give yourself time to face the uncertainty. Be brave enough to face the questions, brave enough to face the uncertainty, and give yourself permission to not know yet. Here's my permission to you. I'm giving you permission to say, I don't know yet, but I'm working on it. I am working towards making a decision that feels right within my soul and my body and my heart. You can work towards that. And in the midst of working towards that, it's okay to not know. So this week, take some time, reflect, and process what in your life are you avoiding? What uncertainty, what questions do you have in your life that are terrifying to you, that are scaring you, that are making you want to run the other way? What are those things? And then I want you to take the time to face them. Take consistent time to face them. You're not going to get an answer right away, but give yourself the time. Comment below. Let me know what it is in your life that you are dealing with that is causing you anxiety, that is causing you to question, that is causing you uncertainty. And remember, it's okay to feel all the things, because so many times in life, it's not either or, it's both.